Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, Minister. Minister Bildt has just answered, in his way, two of the questions which are implicit in the session that brings us together. The area of transatlantic security goes all the way to the Pamir Mountains, and the substance of the security covers well beyond the scope of political military issues. It covers the spectrum of the different aspects of development, fight against trafficking, nation building, and institution building. And the success story of the democratic transition and Euro-Atlantic rapprochement that we have witnessing today, and which we heard from prime ministers in southeastern Europe, should serve as a warning and as an encouragement. Security building requires hard work on a broad spectrum of issues. It requires intense cooperation involving all the tools that are available in the box and probably some more. Let me just, as Minister Bildt has just said, remind that achievements in the southeastern Europe, in a way, have brought closer further security challenges that affect the whole of the transatlantic region. Indeed, there was a war 2 summers ago between two members of the OSCE family, in spite of a tight web of commitments which had been shared since 1975, and in spite of a constant flow of consultations taking place in Vienna. Two self-declared entities have now emerged, and the European Union has had to deploy a major stabilization operation in Georgia. There is indeed another major protracted conflict very close in Nagorno-Karabakh, which is under continued state of tensions in spite of efforts by the co-chairs of the Minsk group. Also, events in southern Kyrgyzstan have just reminded us of the potential of interethnic violence, something of which the city of Dubrovnik has memories. And this is taking place on the borders of Afghanistan, which is a hotbed of trafficking and extremism, which both reach very far within the Euro-Atlantic and Eurasian area. It is also worth reminding that to all of us that Russia has expressed dissatisfaction with the existing security arrangements that have been built over the last 2 decades in Europe, and that Russia has manifested a desire to put them on a new footing in the context of a European security treaty. The message is clear. The job of ensuring security in Greater Europe, that includes Eurasia, remains an open one. It requires constant attention if one wants to maintain a Europe that has never been, and I'm quoting the European Security Strategy, so free, so secure, and so prosperous. Indeed, experience has taught us that conflict prevention and post-conflict rehabilitation are very demanding tasks that have to be carried out over time with patience and with dedication. We heard yesterday from the prime ministers of the intensity of the efforts they are deploying in southeastern Europe to meet the conditions of Euro-Atlantic integration. OSCE field officers in the region have been active in assisting in this process, along with many others. But all of these, acting together, cannot solve outstanding political difficulties or ensure good internal governance. These remain regional and national responsibilities. That is a painful lesson for countries which cannot count on the Euro-Atlantic perspective, since they are located far afield in Central Europe, in the Caucasus, and in Central Asia, and which are going to have a long way to go on the road to resolving their own political problems and to ensure their own democratic transition. Pan-European policies that address all aspects of long-term stability are therefore called for, and they are an integral part of the security of the Atlantic area. They have to take into account the transnational threats linked to organized crime, which reach well beyond regional borders and operate on a global scale, and obviously are of concern to the prime ministers of this region. The different international organizations are the frameworks in which the international community is mobilizing itself. 2010 could turn out to be one of those special years in which the key transatlantic and Eurasian institutions reinvent themselves, like they did in 1975, in 1990, in 1999, in a parallel but hopefully interactive way. The OSCE participating states have just completed a review of the updating and upgrading they need to do in order to have their standards and commitment live up to this new phase in the context of the Corfu process initiated by Greece. Next week in Almaty, the 56 foreign ministers of the OSCE will meet to take stock of this work and to prioritize and choose which items are most important for the future. They will do so under Kazakh chairmanship, and they may decide to hold a summit by the end of the year. This summit could turn out to be close in time and venue to the NATO Lisbon summit, which will take place in the birthplace of the Lisbon Treaty, whose implementation is gathering momentum. There is indeed a privileged occasion to ensure a positive and active complementarity between EU, NATO, and the OSCE, and take advantage of the fruits of the United States-Russia reset, of the positive dynamics of the EU-Russia relationship, in order to create a new network of cooperation and addressing the new dimensions of security challenges in the Euro-Atlantic and Eurasian region. Thank you very much for this opportunity to sit on this panel.